Hey guys, I am back with another knife review, and today I'm just going to get right into it. This is actually a review I've been really looking forward to doing, but I've been testing this knife, really putting it to the test. And as you can see, it is a CRKT blade. I will say, this knife definitely gives me some confidence in hands, to quote them, but I don't think this knife is designed particularly for what they might have thought it would be designed for. Nonetheless, the knife we are talking about is not the Dragon fixed blade that they came out with many years ago. It was called the Dragon something, or something like that. It is a fixed blade, but it is actually the M16-13 FX. The new M16 fixed blade. When I heard about them releasing this, it was a knife that, just upon looking at it, I knew I had to have it. But I haven't owned really any of the other M16 knives in the series. I have the M16 10K, which is a little Tonto partial serration plain edge blade. It's a little folder. I bought a M16 14 SF from... Actually, I think it's the SFG. I think there was a G in there somewhere, yeah. It is the crossguard Tonto blade with VEF serrations, larger, about a 4-inch blade. And I bought that at a pawn shop. Yeah, I bought it at a pawn shop. I was going to say garage sale, but no. I bought that one at a pawn shop, and I bought it pretty beat up. So I never really had an M16 knife that I liked or carried. Until now. Now, this knife does not come with the tech lock you see on it. That is the only downside to this knife. We'll actually cover the sheath first while I'm talking about it. So, you have a injection molded plastic sheath. This is not Kydex. You have a little air hole down at the very bottom for dust, dirt, water, so little drainage hole. You can see it's got tons of slots as well as tons of eyelets for you to mount your screws or any form of mounting. As you can see, it fits perfectly the tech lock right here. The spacing looks to be the same, so I guess you could put it here if you wanted to. I don't know. You could mount it this way as well. I don't think you could mount it choked up closer to here. I don't think there's enough clearance for there, but literally it's just perfect for scout carry, horizontal carry along the swole of my back, which is how I carry this thing. Let me show you what you actually get in the box when it comes to their preferred. So first off, you get this little clip. I have no clue what this clip is. This is probably not a belt clip. I don't know if it's a retention clip for like putting it inside your waistband or inside the waist of your belt. So that way when you go to pull up on the sheath, it catches, this part will catch on your belt. I don't know if it's for a boot, for a boot knife type of setup. So if you guys know, please put in the comments below. Now this is a little molly strap, if I can open the damn thing. Molly strap clip. Molly webbing, all that type of tactical gear, here you go. This is your clip. So, If you're into putting this on a hiking bag or a military backpack, or you are in the military or armed forces and you have a tack vest or a bulletproof vest or a plate carrier that has MOLLE webbing, here you go. And the hardware that goes with it. Okay. Now, the sheath for being plastic is pretty tough. CRKT does not make cheap knives, in my opinion. There are some knives that the quality is... it's not really iffy. I think it has to do with the design. The only knife I had an issue with them was the Icoma Fossil. I hated that knife with the pocket clip. It never stayed attached to my pocket clip. They were so attached to my pocket clip. Blah. It never stayed attached to my pocket because the pocket clip gave so much clearance. Words, right? It's kind of hard to tell that English is my first language. But, with this knife and many other knives I have bought from them in the past, it's kind of hit or miss on the design. And with this design, there is nothing to miss at. It is a very solid knife. I mean, the retention, and I'm just holding from both ends and I'm pulling, and it's giving like very little, but it's not gonna come out until I push off with my thumb or I give it a firm yank, and then it'll come right out. There is no rattle whatsoever. So this blade is just perfectly molded to this sheath. Or vice versa, I meant to say. This sheath is perfectly molded to this blade. God. I seriously feel like I should have a script for these things, just so I know that I don't mess up on speaking, but at the same time, can't call yourself a human if you don't make mistakes. So here's a good look at the blade. Try to get this to focus. There you go. M1613FX Carson designed. There's a good look at that G10 handle scale. Right? There's the other side. There's a beautiful look at the nasty yet gorgeous VEF serrations. Come on, focus back up. There we go. That Tonto tip. Now, I can't remember the name of this grind. I don't know if it was a Scandi grind or convex edge. I'm still trying to remember exactly which grinds are which, but if you know, post in the comments below. However, all I know is this is not a hollow ground edge. It definitely does not have a super hair-popping thin edge. It's a lot more robust than the typical hollow ground edges that they normally do on their knives. The blade steel is SK5. I was about to say S5K. No, SK5 steel. I was about to mess that up too. G10 handles. Where's my ruler? Here it is. You're looking at 9.5 inches from tip to pommel. You're looking at a 4 3/4 inch blade, and that is up to the very top of the guard. From tip to ricasso, where your cutting edge begins, is 4.5 inches. But there's a bit of dead space. If you can see, there's a bit of dead space right here that is not sharpened. So your actual cutting edge will most likely start at 4 1/4, not 4.5. So from tip to ricasso, which is this plunge line here, that is 5.5. From the top of the guard to the tip is 4 3/4, and from the point and start of this vef serration to the very tip is 4 1/4 an overall cutting edge, which is very nice. So this, for here in Texas, is legal to carry, but because it has a 5.5 inch or under blade, in this case it's under 5.5 inches, then it does allow me to still carry this within government property or schools, stuff like that. They got rid of the blade length restriction for like open carrying your blade out in public, where you can now literally walk around with a big Texan-sized buoy on your hip. But you can't go near schools, church. No, I think you can still go near churches, police stations, post offices, basically government buildings, if the blade was over 5.5 inches, which was the standard blade length before they lift the blade restriction. So we still kind of have a blade restriction in Texas, but not as constricted as it used to be. So this is still good to carry in many places. Alright, oh! Handle measurement. Okay, so from the ricasso, okay, that plunge line down to the very pommel is 4, actually no, directly 5 inches. Yeah, that is directly 5 inches. From the top of the handle scales to the pommel is, to the butt end of the knife, I should say, is 4.5. Yep. And that's this. That's also the guard. So from the top of the guard to the pommel end of this knife, it is 5.5 inches. So you are looking at a 5.5 inch handle on top of a 5.5 inch blade. So to put it simply, this knife is really well balanced from its design, which is something I like. Now, let's get into what I consider this knife. I said in my last video, I put all my blades, or any type of bladed instrument that I look at, into 3 categories: utility, military and tactical, and combat. When you think of this knife, and when you think of the other M16 series of knives, you see a very tactical military look to them. They can be used for utility purposes and usually have a very strong and durable blade that can handle heavy blade work. At the same time, the design of the knife is so ergonomic that regardless of what grip, you can use it confidently, hence confidence in hand, to even use in a self-defense situation. But based off this design, in particularly, the problem I have with it is the blade. It is a very narrow blade, even though it has this Tonto blade shape with a ever so slight curve. It slices beautifully if you can hit with that edge, but it's a very well-balanced knife that you're not really getting a deep slice. I mean, it's a very light knife. It's not blade heavy by any means. It is very well balanced, which also lends it to being a great thrower. That was another test. I threw this into a tree. I got it to stick at least 8 times in a row, which honestly is probably my personal best last time I checked. But I threw it at the tree maybe about 20 times, and out of 20 tosses, I've got it to stick about 14 times. 14 or 15, one of the two. So, as a thrower, it actually throws really well, especially for no-spin throws if you know how to throw it. As a thruster, yes, this is a stabbing, piercing knife all day long. Slashing, it's capable, it does cut very well, but I honestly see this more as a combat knife than I do a military or tactical knife. You could still use the blade utility-wise, but honestly, I see it more as a combat knife. In this case, I would use it more as a self-defense knife and more as a people opener than a box opener. And that's kind of what, at least I like to think, they're probably designed this knife for. Okay, it's very well balanced, it's very slim, so when carrying this scout carry, it's very, very slim, but yet still fills the hand and gives you a pretty nice, comfortable feel. I've always liked having the dual guard, cross guard look on a knife. This just means that upon thrusting, I can't accidentally do that, and like the back of my hand goes up on the spine of the knife, but then that leaves the front guard digging into my hand. I get even pressure just dispersed, so that way, upon thrusting, this is happening, and neither my index finger or my thumb is going to ride up onto the blade at all. Me, personally, I just think if you're going to put a guard on a knife, especially a fixed blade, it needs to be a cross guard or a full-length guard, not just something that protects your index finger from the cutting edge. Just upon thrusting, especially on a knife like this that is obviously designed to be a good stabbing implement, a cross guard is what you're going to need. So there you guys have it. So, little overview, 5.5-inch blade, 5.5-inch handle, SK5 steel. I paid $74.98, I think, off of Amazon. I originally was going to buy a regular M16 series of knife off Amazon, but then I saw this. And so instead, I decided to purchase this. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, yes, shut up and take my money. It was worth it. I will say this knife, especially if you're looking for a cool tactical knife, if you are military or law enforcement, you know how to use a knife in a close quarter self-defense situation, or you're like me who loves martial arts and has practice with friends, with professionals, or out of textbooks and how-to instructional videos, or if you are so fortunate to have a loving parent who will buy years and years of karate and martial arts classes for you, and you got to practice with bladed weapons, this is a fun blade to add to your martial arts collection. Definitely, for sure. Alright, guys. Oh. I did purchase another knife. Literally, it was a last-minute purchase. I was originally going to hold off onto it, but you guys will be in for a treat. This knife is a knife that I've been wanting to get for years. It originally is about a $200 to about $225 knife off of Amazon that I've seen it. MSRP is roughly $250, or maybe it went more than that if I bought it directly through their store, off their website. I can't remember. Nonetheless, I saw it on Amazon for $140. And I originally thought I was buying the large size. Turns out it was not the large size. It was the extra large. So when you're talking about knives and sizes, that should be a hint for, well, what knife company I might be talking about. There's a little teaser there for you. Hope you're all having a wonderful day and a decent week. Peace.